Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Dalmar, together with my co-host Mark Ronich of Statewide News Service and jbiztechvalley.com. We have a very, very, very special guest with us, Senator Hugh Farley. Senator, welcome to the Jewish View.
Thank you. It's nice to be here with you.
That should be 5 varies because you cover 5 counties.
That's true.
Well, you're also probably you're the senior member in the Senate?
Yes, I am.
All right. So
been there
that's
the longest of anyone.
You've been there for 38 years in the Senate.
That's correct.
Why do you keep wanting to do this?
My wife asked me that question, but I enjoy it. I'm in leadership, and I'm able to accomplish quite a few things, and I believe in what I'm doing, and I'm proud of my career, Mark.
And eventually, give someone else a chance, no?
Oh, yes. There's a lot of people out there taking my pulse, you know.
Well, on the country, this is the Jewish View, so I want to say an idea from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, and he was against retirement. And this is exactly the reason. So a person who's older has so much more experience than anybody else. It's just really kind of a Americanism, almost what Mark is saying. Oh, you're old, goodbye, go to Miami Beach and retire, and no one needs you. I mean, those are harsh words, but in a way, that's how. And the Rebbe said, no, he said, the people that are older have so much to offer, they have so much life experience, and it shouldn't be an age to get to on the contrary, there's so much more.
There's such wisdom in these rabbis.
Isn't there?
And that's so true. I see people when they retire, they deteriorate and go downhill. I've still got my health, and I'm active, and I cut my own lawn and do all my own.
And you said you were bicycling in Europe?
Yes, I took a 70. I was the oldest person to ever take that tour, and I took a tour from Amsterdam to Bruges, Belgium. It's about 70 miles on narrow
really
roads
incredible.
And back paths and so forth.
And you did that when, this year?
Yes, I did it, I believe it in May. And it was...
And you're 82?
Yes. So I made it all the way. Bicycling with cars is not a good idea necessarily.
Not the safest.
Were you wearing a helmet?
Oh, yeah, I had the helmet and an orange jacket and the whole 9 yards.
All the safety, okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know you as Mr. Library, not librarian, but Mr. Library in the Senate, because that's your passion. Also banking, you would chair the Banks Committee for a long time. So, to talk about your passion.
I love libraries. I grew up in it, and the Flower Memorial Library in Watertown, I did all my studying there, and I just loved libraries. And when I traveled, I used to visit libraries, and every piece of library legislation for the last 38 years has really been mine. And I remember when I first came into the Senate, Senator Anderson said to me, "Oh, you're a professor. You've got libraries." And librarians are the best read and most knowledgeable people. And when they write you a letter, they got to know the real answer. So
Has there ever been a librarian as an elected official, either in the Assembly or the Senate?
No, I have never been one.
No. Has there ever been a librarian elected in the Assembly or the Senate?
I'm sure there may have been. I don't know.
I know Penny Cook was a social worker, but not a librarian.
I don't know.
Okay.
I was the first chairman of the Aging Committee. That's been another passion of mine, and I'm very proud of what I did. You've heard of hospice?
Yeah, sure.
I'm the father of hospice. I passed the first hospice legislation in the nation.
I didn't know that.
The New York Times did an editorial saying, the most significant thing done this year was done by an obscure freshman senator from Schenectady, Senator Hugh Farley.
Well, you have that framed on your wall, don't you?
I'm very proud of that.
Well, hopefully you'll never have to use that.
Hospice. Well, it's a wonderful thing.
It is wonderful. My
It's
father, may
humane.
rest in peace, was in hospice.
God rest him. It's a wonderful, humane, natural program. I'm very proud of it.
Let me just back up with the libraries again, and just to supplement it again with Judaism, because I know America is such an incredible country because there is public school education, and even we're in the 21st century, there's, I'm sure, millions of children around the world that don't have that opportunity. And America was one of the first countries in the world, in world history, to have this, like every child deserves an education. But this is a very Jewish idea. And also with the libraries, hey, you know, like go, I don't care how much money you have, you don't need a dime to go into the library, and you got thousands of books. Just they're all at your disposal. Read all you want, no one's stopping you. On the contrary, it's free, and it's really a beautiful, it's a Jewish idea. You know, everybody should learn, and it just makes us for better people and better society the more learned we are.
Well, you know, I mentioned earlier to you that my wife has a Jewish heritage,
very
and
good.
I'm very proud of, she's very proud of that. But that's one of the things I admire so much about the Jewish religion, is your sense of the importance of education, your sense of learning that is so essential. And I think it is, it has made the Jewish religion such a great religion because of the wisdom that of your people.
I wanted to let the audience know that you also were chairman of the Senate Environmental Conservation
That's right.
Committee, and you also were responsible for shepherding through the Environmental Quality Bond Act in 1986.
Yes, I did. That was a good, tough one to pass, and I think I made it palatable for the people to pass it. That was the first time that we ever put criminal penalties on commercial pollution, and it was, I think, very significant.
You know, that's interesting. I'm just sitting back because I always say Mark is our news reporter. He knows everything what's happening, and I'm the rabbi, so I know my Judaism. But, you know, I'm a citizen, and I am concerned. It's just interesting to me that here you are a Republican.
That's right.
And you lead the Democrats always, you know, you would say the liberal and care about the environment, and here you're a senior Republican senator, and you know, obviously you have a big concern about the environment.
I have to tell you that that's not necessarily true. George Pataki was very strong when he was in the Senate and the Assembly on the environment.
See, that's a...
And that's a misnomer.
Yeah, it must be. That's what I'm trying to get at over
It's
here.
kind of a bum rap, as they say so many times. I'm very concerned about the environment.
There are a lot of
yet,
Republicans that are.
environmentalists, some of them, when I was chairman of that committee, I really got attacked a lot, even though I was trying to do the very best I could. I remember one issue, the chairman before me, Senator Dunn, who was chairman before me, passed legislation banning wild birds, cockaboos and parrots and that thing from coming into the state. And they couldn't come into the state. So they were bringing them in trunks of cars and that sort of thing, sneaking them, and they spread these diseases. It was just terrible. So I tried to overturn that law because it was making New York State a mecca for birds coming in illegally. And gee, I got attacked terribly by that. They put in full-page ads. Senator Farley hates birds and dead birds. But, you know, you do the best you can. I try to serve as honorably and with as much integrity as I can.
Yeah, and there are members who are people who become lobbyists, head of lobbying groups or advocacy groups who are Republican.
Sure.
That are big environmentalists. You know, so I don't think that's...
Yeah, I'm not saying, I'm getting to know that. It's good that I just printed out to our viewers. But
well, we try to represent... you know, I'm generally considered a conservative, but you know, for instance, I'm medical marijuana. I voted for that, but it's a very restricted sort of thing. It's not for smoking joints, or legalizing marijuana, which I think is wrong, but it's for children, particularly that are having seizures and so forth, and it's going to be administered safely by the doctors and so forth. And
one thing that I didn't understand is why they just didn't why the law wasn't written where it would be regulated like at the end of life. They give you morphine at the end of life, and and you don't see a wide abuse of morphine. I mean, it's controlled. It's in the hospital only. You have to be in the hospital at the time. And you know, it should have been along those lines that medical marijuana.
I think it will be that way, Mark. For people that are dying, that are taking chemotherapy, Let's hope that many of them recover, but
Mhm.
they have tremendous nausea problems, and marijuana, I'm told, does alleviate some of that nausea. So that's a positive
You
thing.
know, yeah, but hopefully it'll only be in the hospital that you can't take this
That's
vapor. I
correct.
mean, it's only a vapor and it's only, what, a rub where you can
Yeah, well, I guess through injection too.
injection,
Yeah.
you know. So hopefully that'll work out. Rabbi
let's hope
Simon
it works
doesn't
out.
like the marijuana issue. He's,
Well, no, I
'cause
do.
he
I
does-
agree with what the senator said. Listen, if you need it medically, it's one thing, but to legalize it like
It's
Colorado
terrible.
has
It's a
done.
gateway drug.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree
I
with
have
the
the
senator
addicts
on
coming
this.
into my office saying to me, don't legalize marijuana. That's what I started on.
Yeah.
so libraries, environmental conservation, aging, and banks.
Banking. Yeah,
Banking.
That's where the money is.
That's right. So those are your four big, what do you call it, committee assignments over the 38 years that you've had.
Yes.
Okay, why didn't you want to continue a committee chairmanship? Are you on any committees?
Oh, yes.
You're on committees.
Oh, I'm
So-
on all the important committees, finance, rules,
Oh, there you
aging.
go, ethics,
Ethics.
education, health, finance,
I'm
rules,
an
social
educa-
services.
Yeah, I'm on education.
Okay,
I could have been chairman of education. I could have been chairman of judiciary. I am a lawyer and
Right.
a law professor.
right.
And but I am in leadership, and so
And what's the
consequently,
title that you have in leadership?
chairman of the program committee.
Okay, what does that do?
It checks up where we're going to go. The thrust of what the Senate majority, we're kind
Right.
of a coalition majority, the program, what we're going to do as far as getting things done.
So, through your advice to the leader,
Yes.
you suggest to him which major bills or which
Actually,
bills
we
should be?
the leadership works together, but I set up programs that for instance, one of the things that I have suggested and we've unified, the Senate majority or the Republicans and the coalition we have been very focused on helping libraries. That was one thing. We got a conference position on that.
Mhm.
We were the ones that increased library aid by $4 million. We helped library construction because Andrew Mellon,
Carnegie
those are
Mellon,
problems
right,
with the National Historical Society and so forth. Our libraries need a lot of help
yeah. Yes,
that way. So we are united in that front.
okay.
I just even libraries, and we had actually librarians from Albany, which we're broadcasting from. But when I go to the library, and of course I'm always there because I'm with Mark broadcasting from the libraries, and thank you to the libraries that it is public access and they're letting us use the studio. So for us, it's a big utilization. But I just don't feel one of the problems is that enough people are using the libraries. It's there. We say it's free, so there's nothing to argue about, and they're beautiful. These libraries. And I just don't see every kid should be there. I
That's
don't know how to
interesting,
get it.
Rabbi, because just prior to this, I was a little early, and I went upstairs,
Good.
and I walked through. I was impressed that almost every booth and table was taken,
All right.
and it was all with young people,
Yeah.
all with young people.
Yep.
I was very surprised. They're all on the computers, and they're all researching whatever they're researching, and
What's young to you? No, I'm teasing you.
well,
I'm
no,
just
I'm
teasing.
talking. I'm
The
talking about
20s,
significantly young.
20s, yeah.
20 and younger.
I know.
I
You
saw
can
a lot,
only
a
better
lot of
yourself by
youngsters.
reading and commuting.
Everybody's young to me.
I know. You grew up in New York City and Indian Lake in Hamilton County and then Watertown in Jefferson County.
That's
Talk
correct.
about a little about your background. What brought
Well,
you from
my
New York
father,
City to...
my father was about the only Gentile in the credit clothing business.
Really?
He had 14 stores around the country, and we lived in Riverdale and Fieldston with servants, and I was the tail end of 6 boys. So my father lost his business at the end of towards the end of the Depression, in the late 30s, and we moved to Indian Lake, which was a home that was in my mother's name.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I went from grade 1 to first year high school, and then we moved to Watertown, New York, where my mother was from, and I graduated from high school there.
Wow.
And I had a very interesting, I say I was the tail end of everything. I went to work for the railroad and served in the Army and in Germany. I'm a Korean War veteran, which there isn't many left. I fought the Korean War in Germany. They never attacked. But
They were scared of you.
Yeah. And then from there, I went to finish college. I was number 2 in my class, and I went to law school nights.
And you graduated from Mohawk Valley Community College?
Yes,
or?
I did. I
Okay.
went to there first for
And
2
then
years.
American University, you got your law
Juris
degree?
Doctor there.
Who's
You
in
know
your
who was in
class?
my class?
No,
Judge Judy.
really?
Oh, really?
So you're friends with her still? I mean,
No, not really. She was only there for 1 year. She was the only woman in the class.
they're
Well,
very
that's how she
And she
stood
was a
out.
quiet little mouse. She wasn't as...
She's making up for lost time
That's
now.
right. You know, she's the highest paid lawyer and the highest paid
And
judge in the United States.
on television.
47 million a year. she
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
makes. 47 million.
Should have went into TV like us. See how Rich
right.
Mark and I
That's
are
right.
from
Hey,
being on TV.
I made a movie, you know.
Really? All
Yeah,
right.
the Place Beyond the Pines.
That was only a few years, several years
Yeah,
ago.
last year or
What's
so.
it
And
about? Tell
I'm
us
still
about
in
it.
the Actors Union. I get residuals from it. I had a speaking part, and at the very end of it.
What's a documentary?
No, it was,
No.
it was a
This is
story
a
about very interesting
major-
story. Very interesting. It was some group voted it one of the 10 best pictures of the year, and it was with Bradley Cooper, who was a graduate of Georgetown University, and Ryan Gosling, and anyway, it's a police officer that is he's a police officer that is chasing a bandit, a bank robber, and ends up shooting him and so forth, and then goes to law school, and this police officer becomes elected Attorney General of the state of New York. And at the end of the picture, I'm introducing him. He's won as Attorney General. Well, I've done that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So-
You didn't have to act too much.
Not too- but they didn't correct me. They shot the scene several times, and anyway, I get residuals from it, and it cost me $3,000 to join the Actors Union.
Hopefully you'll make the money back on the residuals.
It's touch and go whether I'm going to be on
It'll
the
be
plus
another
side.
20 years over
Yeah.
here, I'm sure. of that.
So, what else is unique about your background that you might want people to know about?
Well, you know, I don't think there's anything more important than my family.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of my children. They've done very well. My daughter, Susan, is one of the best intellectual property lawyers. That's patents, copyrights, and trademarks. In my judgment, in the country, she's a lead partner in Heslin, Rothenberg, and Farley and Mercedes, which is a big patent firm.
Is that Farley related to you?
That's my daughter.
That's your daughter is the
Yeah.
Farley of
She
that?
uses her maiden name.
Oh, because Jeff Rothenberg is a friend of ours.
Of course, that's one of her partners.
Yeah.
She's the managing partner right now,
Okay.
my daughter Susan. Jeff Rothenberg is a very dear friend.
Yeah.
Is he still in Israel?
Well, he's back and forth.
Back and forth. And my son Bob is a very distinguished lawyer and counsel to Senator Skelos. And of course, my youngest daughter is married to a dentist in New Jersey, and she's a reading specialist and teaches. At one time, she was teaching at a community college disadvantaged students reading.
Mm-hmm.
They were coming in, they couldn't read. And
It's a very noble profession.
Yeah. You have a business opening up in Schenectady that's hiring children or people with autism.
autism.
And there's a business.
There's a pervasive
Yeah.
disorder. I don't know why that is around, because of the environment or something.
And I ask
Autism,
people that also, same idea. I don't know, when we were young,
it was
how many
unknown.
people, yeah, I know. I asked the question and I haven't any good answers for it.
I
Why
don't
you
either.
found
It is pervasive.
What is in your future?
Well,
What do you-
I've got to
in
get
your crystal-
reelected. I'm
Yeah.
running again.
You know
Right.
what we say, Senator, when a Jewish, you say in Jewish, till 120. She'll live till 120. So that's what Mark is
figuring
you got another 40 years over here. That's what he's
you know,
figuring.
one of the rabbis, who's a friend of mine from, it gave me a dictionary of Yiddish, Yiddish sayings.
Expressions,
They're
yeah.
wonderful Yiddish expressions. They can say a paragraph in just a few words.
Do you plan on continuing just to be?
Well, I'm running again, and I've got 2 years of.
It's a 2-year contract with the people.
Yeah, 2-year contract. I've got to get reelected, and you know that's always a chancy business. And I'm running against. I've got 2 ladies, one that ran against me last time, and another gal that is primarying each other for the honor to run against me. So you have to take every race seriously, and I'm running hard.
And what was the largest margin of victory for you?
I've had large margins historically, pretty good. I've had 70, close, pushing 80 sometimes, but 70% usually.
How often do you have one of the largest districts, if not the largest district?
Second largest in the state of New York.
So how do you get around to all the different hamlets and towns and villages?
I drive. I just gave my granddaughter a car with 250,000 miles on it, and it was an 05, so it wasn't terribly old, but it had 250,000.
I just got rid of mine, 99 Olds Intrigue, that had 267,000 miles on it. And
I had a Maxima that I got 365, like the days of the year.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
So I just
So you put
wear out a
about
car.
for 40,000 miles a year. I
Yes,
mean, you're doing
that's
incredible
correct.
amount, yeah.
So
That's
you're
correct.
so you're
Good in math.
He's very good in math. So what do you see though? I mean, what do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
You know the
What's
thing.
on your bucket list, as they say?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. One of the things I get the biggest kick out of is helping people. You know, to deal with the government and so forth is difficult. And they call me in my office. My staff, I get back to them. We try to help them. I get a big kick out of that.
Okay.
I'll tell you another thing that I'm unusual in that I'm in this area too. I have a Schenectady and Saratoga in Fulton County. The school kids that come down.
Mm-hmm.
I have all kinds of school, 4th graders and so forth that come down, and I meet with them. I get a big kick out of that.
You explain the $1 Million Staircase?
Yes, I do. I do
that?
the whole 9 yards, and I recall I was in Florida at a gas station, and a rather matronly lady came up to me and said, "Senator Farley, I had my picture taken with you in the 4th grade."
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, they do remember it, and they save their picture.
Yeah, sure they do.
I get a kick out of that, to be honest with you. I'm going to try to do the best I can. I'll tell you something, not to be partisan.
No.
I think it's terribly important, Mark, and you've been around for a long time and seen things, that we have a bipartisan government, that there is an actual voice. That's why I think it's so important that we maintain the Republican Senate. Mm-hmm. Because it is just another voice, another avenue it's check and balances.
What are your thoughts on this? The IDC, saying that if the Republicans don't have a majority on their own, then they're going to align themselves with the Democrats.
Well, that was a promise that Governor Cuomo made to the Working Families Party people, that he would get them to go back to the Democrats. Should that happen,
right,
we'd have a dead tie, and then the lieutenant governor would...
well, there's an odd number of seats, aren't there? 63?
Yes.
Okay.
62.
There's 62 seats?
Yeah.
I thought there was 63.
63? Okay. Yeah, well, anyway,
Yeah.
I think that I think we're going to take back the Senate, to be very honest with you. I'm very hopeful. It's one of the reasons I'm running again.
Well, the way I look at the Senate, personally, I see with the IDC, the Independent Democratic Conference, which is 5 members.
Yeah.
They will align themselves with the Republicans when it suits them to do that. And then there are other issues that they'll align themselves with the Democrats on when it suits them.
That's correct.
And they're playing both in. But they made a deal with the Republican leadership that their 5 members would be put into leadership positions.
That's correct.
Co-equal and that sort of thing. Now, when you go into the Democratic side, and if they align themselves with them, they have to all vote in unison. And the Democratic Party in the Senate, and I've worked for that conference, and they will not do anything in unison. First of all, you got the Senator Ruben Diaz, who's a conservative Democrat. You got Simcha Felder, who's a Democrat in name only, and he sits with the Republicans.
He's more conservative than anybody I know.
Exactly. So, but he conferences with the Republicans.
Yeah.
So I don't even see where the Democrats could even pull themselves together enough to vote in unison on these close issues.
Do you remember when they had the majority?
Yeah.
It was chaos.
Yeah, 2009, yeah.
It was chaos, Rabbi. John Sampson, who was the leader,
Yeah, you got 2 members.
his biggest problem was to try to not have fights break out
That's
in
right.
their conference. Well, you know.
I know, and
It
they
was
had,
absolute chaos.
and they got 2 of the majority leaders, Sampson and Smith, who were both
under indictment.
under indictment and under a cloud of concern. And now Malcolm Smith is being challenged in the primary. He's being primaried. I mean, I don't know how Sampson survives. I mean, I know his district is solidly behind him, regardless, because he has an affinity towards them. They all relate to him and what he's doing. So,
Yeah, I know.
But I'm just, I just don't see it as being effective.
I think, incidentally, the poll showed that the people of the state of New York really liked the idea of the IDC and the Republicans working together.
Yeah.
They liked that. And generally speaking, the IDC were people that were ostracized within the Democrat conference. And there's not a lot of love there right now. I don't, it's hard for me to speak what's going on. You know it better than I. But you know that there's not a great deal of love between an awful lot of those people.
Well, I only spent 14 months with the Democrats. I got out in January of '09 when all this started, and I didn't want to be a part of it.
You know.
Absolutely, absolutely, I followed it. So I just wanted to get your thoughts and your take on do you?
I don't see it working out very well.
Do you see yourself being in the minority come January?
No, I don't. I really don't. We've got some incredible candidates going on. The guy in Rochester is outstanding. I'm told our candidate that's running
Against?
O'Brien.
Oh, okay. Ted O'Brien. Yeah.
Who's a nice guy, don't get me wrong, but he's a television sportscaster, immensely popular. I think we've got a wonderful chance with Amador and Kachik seat. I think we've got a good chance, a very good chance with Gibson. Our polls show, all of our polls show it's going to be a very good Republican year. An awful lot of people are very, very concerned what has happened nationally. They're very concerned upstate. They're very, very concerned about the SAFE Act, an awful lot of those people. And they're very, there's people that they can't wait to sign my petition this year. I saw there's a tremendous enthusiasm upstate.
And you think Kathy Marchione will survive?
I think Kathy Marchione will survive very well.
Okay. Any other surprises that you see coming down that people? Tony.
I think our polls, and we poll all the time. We're pretty good shape in Long Island. We've got some openings there, but we're in good shape there. And I see us taking back the majority.
Okay,
and
solely just on your...
And Simcha Felder will be sitting with us too.
So you'll be solid Republican. You won't need the IDC.
We won't need them, but I would think that we'd be willing to accept them back. That's just from my point of view. Yeah, I think the people of the state of New York like that.
Senator,
hey, I was a Democrat.
Really?
I was a Democrat when I came up.
Way back when?
Well, when I worked in John Kennedy's campaign.
Oh, really?
When I was in law school in Washington, D.C., and living in Maryland. And I was enamored by Governor Rockefeller, I'll be very honest with you, and I became a Republican. I thought Governor Rockefeller was a dynamic leader. I was so impressed.
Yeah, he was my first interview.
Oh,
And-
is that right?
And I stayed in, yeah, that's it. I stayed with journalism after that. Yeah, I agree with
Oh,
you.
he incredible man.
1978.
Dyslexic,
Yes.
Terribly
Really?
dyslexic.
Senator, we're out of time, but as I said before, we got to give you the Jewish blessing of until 120 years with good health, serving the good people of New York State, and only the best of success for you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank you
God
for
bless
coming,
you
Senator.
both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you.
Rabbi. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you.